Alright, everybody, welcome to Forgotten Faves Friday. This series is back. And I thought I'd talk about Econoline Crush, Ignite, for two reasons. Because the band is touring again, they're active. They promised an album coming out in the autumn. We'll see about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure this band has been promising albums since 2017 or so. And then last year, Trevor Hurst said there's like two, maybe three albums. Actually, no, I think he said two, and I'm mixing them up with what Ed Roland said about Collective Soul. But he said there's two albums that could come out as a double album, or maybe there's another album that'll follow right after. He said that in a video on YouTube last year. You said that already. But yeah, we'll see, because this When the Devil Drives album has been promised for a long time, years. And so yeah, we'll see. But I thought I'd talk about this because they're touring again, which is really fantastic. They're a great live act. Catch them if you can see them. I think it's just a Canadian tour right now. And also because I did a ranking video on this band back in the day, and I'm pretty sure this was, well, I'm very sure actually, it was on the bottom. And I don't know if it would still be there. I think it would, because I just find their heyday so flawless, I guess you could say. But, you know, listening back to this and kind of, well, the nostalgia from seeing them on this very tour hit me, but also it was like, wow, like I just remembered this being so much more tame, and it doesn't have the kind of industrial sensibilities of some of the 90s work, and it doesn't have exactly the muscle that the Bob Rock produced album had, that already people didn't like because they thought they were betraying their sound too much, but I thought was incredible. Absolutely incredible rock album. And this one, it has really good riffs, it has really good hooks. The production isn't quite as good as the ones that came prior because the money wasn't there anymore. Like, this didn't come out on a major, they didn't have a big producer helping them anymore, but it does sound really good still. And it had been a long time. I think I gave it a listen when I did that ranking video, but it wasn't one that I put on that often. And then when I was listening to Econoline Crush's discography from front to back, it wasn't even on Spotify back then, and now it's on. You can listen to this one on streaming services. So the only one they need is this one, which was on streaming services a couple years ago, and it's only an EP of 3 songs, but it houses 2 of my absolute favorite Econoline Crush songs. They would probably be in my top 10 for the band, and they're like this, like it's more pop rock. And but yeah, there's some songs on here that really rock. Like Dirty is leaning into the pop rock stuff, dance rock that was very popular in '07. A lot of bands were incorporating that, even if it wasn't in their genre. It wasn't in their regular wheelhouse. And really, it's the only song they've done that was like that. And I remember really not liking it when it came out, and it was the first single, and I was not that excited, even though I was really excited to finally see them live for the first time, and to this date only time. But I'm seeing them this year, fingers crossed, because a lot of shows have been canceled, or something else happened this year. But I'm really looking forward to it, because my bud and I still talk about that show. It was a really incredible experience. So Dirty was the first single, and it's indicative of the rest of the record, but also not, because, you know, like I said, it's the only really dance rock song here, but it kind of has a more pop flavor for the band. And then they tried Get Out of the Way, because it has the call and response in the lyrics, the hey, hey, which is always fun to chant live. But that one didn't really go anywhere. I don't think they even shot a video for it, so the world kind of forgot that Econoline Crush even came back again, you know? They kind of became one of those post-grunge industrial rock bands that always ended up on the Whatever Happened To list. They had this big All That You Are song, and the video was always played in that, and then, you know, that album had 4 other huge rock singles on top of All That You Are, which had its crossover appeal. And then, the Brand New History had a couple big singles off it, but not many people bought it. A lot of fans were upset with it. I think it's almost as good as the record that came before it, but I'm much alone in that distinction, or in that way of thinking. But people do seem to like components of the record, I think. People like You Don't Know What It's Like, at least. And I'll talk about that song in a minute. Could Have Been is a really punchy, fast intro track, and obviously it's not as good as Make It Right or Surefire. Like, how can you beat those as your track off the top? I almost said title track. It's not a title track. Or even the title. There we go again. The first track off Affliction. Those are hard to beat, but this one's good though. It holds its own. It's not going to topple those ones, but it's great. And then, like I said, it goes into Dirty, which, lyrically isn't all that interesting, but it's a fun track and it's a party track. It's kind of like how Finger 11 did Paralyzer, right? They're kind of dance rock track, and it doesn't have the substance that a lot of their discography had up till that point, but it's a catchy song. Like, it's a good pop track. Psychotic's amazing. I love the bridge on that one. And I'm pretty sure they did a lot of this material when we saw them live. Almost too much for my taste, even though it is one of the best rock shows I saw, and there's a lot. That's a long list, though. Get Out of the Way, second single, Failure of a Single, good song though, but I actually like the newer version. They did this other one, Get Out of the Way Gold Heart, and put it on streaming a year or two ago, and that was good because you couldn't get any of the songs from this on streaming. But it's with the new band members. It's got a new production style. It kind of fits what the band used to do a little bit better, even though it is, again, kind of a poppier song than a lot of the stuff they were doing in the 90s and that. But yeah, it's a good song. I just like the Gold Heart version even better. And usually when artists re-record their own tracks, it's like, why are you messing with that? Remember when Animals redid House of the Rising Sun in 97? Oh my god, it's bad. Um, yeah, usually these re-recordings of songs are not good. Like, I like when Cat Stevens did Tea for the Tillerman again, like 50 years later as an old man. He did a good job, but there aren't too many re-recordings, which is kind of why I'm kind of like, Roger Waters, why are you redoing Dark Side of the Moon? Hole in My Heart, very catchy song. Should have been a single. I think if that was a single and came out like 5 years prior, probably would have been a hit actually. Anyway, it didn't come out as a single. No one really heard this album. Good song though. Unbelievable. That one's got a great riff, very frantic. Um, Low power mode, oh my god. The Love That You Feel is really nice. Trevor's kind of embraced this new kind of maturity, and it's going into his songwriting. It's not as angsty. Um, I mean, I think that Trevor, I don't know much about him personally, though I love seeing him interviewed because he just seems like there's just something really loving and positive about him. And I got to meet him for a minute 15 years ago, and I always tell people he's the nicest rock star ever, but it's like, how many rock stars have you met, Andrew? Yeah, maybe like two or three. But yeah, there's just such a warmth to him. But what I was trying to get at is he's been through some mental illness, and I don't think that it was really publicized. But you listen to some of those lyrics, especially on like Affliction and Devil You Know, and it's like, woo, all right, so you got demons too, and really great at writing about it. But he's obviously at a different point in his life here, and same thing for that Hearst record. I think it's called Not Broken, is it not? Anyway, he did a solo album, and with Ross Childress of Collective Soul, to bring them up again in a video for the second time too, oddly enough. And that went nowhere too. But yeah, he definitely has come to a different form of songwriting, and I feel with the teasers for the new album, if it ever comes out, um, it's kind of switched again, and he's really embraced not really caring what people think of his songwriting and kind of going a little more experimental even. Um, And yeah, I am really looking forward to the album, however it turns out. So yeah, The Way That You Feel is a very heartfelt, kind of maturely written rock song. Again, it's kind of pop rock. Heaven's Falling has this kind of soaring chorus, and Trevor's just saying Heaven's Falling over and over, but it's really effective. Burn It Down, Bleed Through. Yeah, it's good all the way through. And I don't know, I might have said something in my review like half the tracks are good when I was doing the ranking video, and half aren't. But for me, Dirty's the weak point, and even that song is fun to sing along to. It's kind of more of a. Econoline Crush never did this before or since, but kind of a sexy driven kind of club tune that you put on when the ladies are dancing and that, and well, maybe you're dancing too. um do you dance, Trevor? Or do you dance like me, where you're just kind of like on the sidelines, like just appreciating, tapping your foot? So yeah, if that's the weak song, and it might be the weakest song in their discography up till now because they're so consistent. But if that's your weakest, that's good. Like, that's a good song. And I wish my snobby self in '07 and '08 realized this and maybe put this one on. But I've been listening to this one quite a lot recently, and I really doubt that any of these songs will be played. Maybe one of them, actually. Though it might be Get Out of the Way, but we'll see if any of these songs are played live. I completely doubt it outside of the two singles, Dirty and Get Out of the Way. And of course, they'll be doing Get Out of the Way because it is one of the recent singles. They did Get Out of the Way Gold Heart, which was that 2020? And then Fight Like the Devil. And this No Quitter one that just came out a week or two ago. And I was going to post this video on that very day, but I'm like Douglas Adams. I love the sound of deadlines as they fly by. And yeah, so it's a great record, though I have to say there's one big blemish on this album. They do that whole thing that artists used to do on CDs where they put a bunch of tracks that have like some silence. They're like 3 seconds of silence or something, no big deal. And then you get to the end and there's a bonus song. Now, this happened on The Devil You Know. There was some silence, but it was just I guess it was an Asian woman, I think, speaking a foreign language, and I remember looking up what she's saying, but now I can't remember, of course. That was years ago. But on this one, there's an actual song. Oh, good. They hit an actual song. '07 might have been the last year that artists did that. It's not really a prevalent thing. In the late 90s, early 2000s, bands were doing it all the time. Putting good or sometimes not so good songs at the end of the record, or funny skits, which were always just groan inducing. I love those bands, but oh my god, you guys are not funny. And Incubus did this, and Limp Bizkit did this, and lots of bands did this whole thing where they put skits at the end. Anyway, thank goodness they put a song at the end of this, just like how Blur put a song too off the Modern Life is Rubbish, and you can find these hidden songs on these records. I think Blink-182 did it. It's You Don't Know What It's Like, re-recorded. Now, I just gave some praise to the re-recording of Get Out of the Way Gold Heart, and if you like Econoline Crush, I hope you do. You should go stream that song and do what I do. Stream this version now that you can, now that Ignite is on streaming, and then compare it to the new version. It's always cool to compare. And, you might be like me and like it better, or you might not like it as much, but it's fun to compare anyway. You Don't Know What It's Like, this version, and I mean, the original is one of their best songs. I might put it in my top 10 Econoline Crush songs. And I know Trevor Hurst, it's his favorite thing he ever did. It's his favorite musical accomplishment out of all their songs. More than Home, more than Sparkle and Shine, more than Emotional Stain. That's some good praise to say that's your favorite track you did. And it is an incredible song. The production is great. I know people hate on Bob Rock sometimes for some of his work. He did an incredible job. I think they went to Hawaii to record it with him. Great. Yeah. Great. This version is just limp. I can see what they're going for though, because they put some piano chords in the verses. They kind of change it up. I think they're trying to kind of go after, that was trendy in 2000 or 2001. We're gonna update this song for '07, and we're gonna show the new talents of the new band. And it's like, I don't recognize these names because these guys all jumped ship after this album cycle. Brent Fritz on drums, Kai, just Kai. It's like Cher. It's just Kai. Kai on guitars and Scott Wallen on bass and vocals. And Kai, I guess, did the piano for this. He does programming, keys, guitars, and piano. Um, yeah. I guess when I said Dirty was probably the weakest song, but it's still really good on this album and in their discography thus far. I meant of original songs, but at least it's still good. It's fun to tap your toe to and sing along to. I wouldn't skip it. As soon as Bleed Through's through, I'm done. Like, I do not want to listen to this version of this song again. And I remember being quite disappointed when the album came out, but yeah, that is when they did need to re-record. And the band's trying, but th- that that thumping bass that just goes so hard on the chorus, and the production work in the verses and that, it's all lost. Like, the energy is really lost. And Trevor tries to sing it a little bit differently. And I mean, from these other songs, he still has the voice for sure. He didn't age that much in 6 years, even though he wasn't singing or recording all that much in the time between the two albums. But for some reason, it just sounds kind of weak sauce on this re-recording. So that's really my only criticism. I was listening to this a few times and I thought, wow, I gotta do a Forgotten Faves review of this, because I don't think I was generous enough in the ranking video, and I think the placement wouldn't change, but what I said about it would, and I'm a little more charitable to it, and I haven't, it's not because I've softened my opinion, it's just like, maybe I didn't give the record the time of day. I remember listening to it the first week I had it, and I remember putting it on the next year in '08 when I finally got to see Econoline live, and then not listening to it for years and years and years. And yeah, just having a revisit, and no, I really like it. And let's hope one day Econoline Crush puts all their stuff on vinyl, though I could see this getting missed. But I would buy the whole collection. I mean, obviously, I would be most excited for Devil You Know, and then Affliction, and then Brand New History. Maybe not in that order, but whatever order it is, I'd be excited for all of them. And Per and GP is incredible. But yeah, I would still get this. I like this record, and I mean, I met the guy. I met Hurst. And Hurst is not the worst. He's the best. He is, like I said, such a nice guy. I get it. I get this warmth from him in the interviews and podcasts and all that, and also when I met him. And I talked to him. It's kind of indirectly if you talk to someone on Instagram, and I think maybe Twitter back in the day, or no, Facebook. But just the way he talks to his fans too. Yeah, stand-up guy. So yeah, obviously, if you don't really know Econoline Crush, or you only know The Devil You Know, I would recommend you go listen to Affliction and some of the other stuff first. But if you have heard all their kind of glory days stuff and haven't heard this, well, now's the time. It's so easy to listen to. It's on streaming. And it sucks that that one left streaming a year ago. I hope it comes back. Obviously, these are released on completely different labels than each other, and then the rest of the discography. But yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, good record, good enough for Forgotten Faves. Not their strongest, but recommended. If you're a fan, do yourself a favor, check this out, and then after, go check out that Hurst Not Broken album. Though I think it's an EP, because there's only 7 tracks on it. But yeah, there's 10 great solid tracks on here. But when Bleed Through finishes, you can finish the album. You don't have to listen to the re-recording of You Don't Know What It's Like, because it'll just make you want to go turn up the stereo and listen to the old one, because it's a classic. From Big Shiny Tunes 4, and then later Brand New History. But I remember everyone buying Big Shiny Tunes 4 for that song, because that's the only place you could get it for months and months. Incredible. Incredible that we used to do stuff like that in the late 90s and early 2000s. Buy a various artist comp, because that's where you could get the song. I'm a big fan, but the song's nowhere else. I gotta get this various artist compilation that some corporation came up with just to get that track. Yeah, that's where we were at. Anyway, peace and love, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in another video. Enjoy yourselves.